Ben is an instructor for the Red Cross. He teaches many of our CPR and first aid classes, and he's taught for the Great Bay chapter for about 2 years now.
So it was a regular UNH class. They offer a certain amount of classes throughout the year with the UNH student curriculum. So myself and Kathy were the two instructors that were teaching for the day. I think we had just finished introducing ourselves and letting them know what our credentials were, and they were in the middle of just doing their basic introductions when one of the girls sort of stood up and...
She looked very pale, and as she was passing, she kind of stumbled a little bit as she went past the table where Ben and I were sitting, and there was another table set up next to us that had the infant mannequins on it, and when she got to that table, she just collapsed. And I mean, it was right next to Ben.
She kind of caught herself on a table, and then I helped lower herself to the ground. But it was kind of like a really intense...
We knew that she was unconscious. A gentleman in the audience actually had his cell phone out, and we directed him to call 911.
I went through what they call the ABCs for the airway, breathing, and circulation. So I checked her airway, and my first check, she was breathing and she was fine. And I was telling the class what I was doing as I was doing it.
So I had the keys to unlock the gate so the EMTs could get in. So I went out to unlock the gate.
And when I looked up to tell them this is what I'm doing, I looked down and her faces started to turn blue. So that's the she turned cyanotic, which is the first sign of trouble breathing.
And all of a sudden I come back in and he's doing rescue breathing, and I was like, oh my goodness, how did this go downhill so fast? But he was totally in control of the situation.
I verbally keyed in on every act that I was doing with the class to let them know what I was giving. So it was almost like a complete hands-on training session in an actual real-life event, which is pretty incredible to go through, or at least for the students to see an actual emergency and to how people react to it.
When the EMTs came, I was able to direct them right into the classroom.
The EMTs immediately put her on a stretcher and they took her into the other room, and that was sort of my discommunication with her, because I stayed with the class and was talking with the class about what had happened.
I think it definitely was a teaching moment for everybody, because after it happened, Ben went back through and he said, okay, this is what happened, this is what I did, this is what we teach in classes, and he could put all of that together for them.
Having that to sort of teach the rest of the class, to use that as a reference to how to react to an emergency, was incredibly helpful. It was an awesome tool to use.
His experience is really a great example of why people need to learn CPR. You just never know. You never know who it's going to happen to, you never know when it's going to happen, and you just never know when you're going to be the person that has to respond and help somebody else. So by learning CPR, you're really learning those skills that could potentially help you save somebody's life someday. And I just really can't think of anything that's more important than that.
I think it's so important that people know this on a daily basis, and if this type of situation can be used to influence people to take this class and to use this certification, I think that's honestly what's most important.
Anybody in that situation has that moment of panic of, oh my goodness, what do I do next? And Ben got past that. He went to his training, he did exactly what was needed to help that student, and he ended up helping to save her life. I would also like to say that I think Ben deserves to be recognized as a hero because of what he does for us every day, and that he goes out and he teaches students on a regular basis CPR and first aid.